Welcome to the Ranch and Table Podcast, where we discuss all things related to our Texas ranch and our Ranch to Table restaurant located in downtown Rockwall. I'm your host, Lee Wells. All right, welcome to another episode of the Ranch and Table. I'm Lee Wells, and thank you for joining me today. Looking forward to getting into this next conversation and talking and having a great time with my guests. But before we do that, this episode is brought to you by my friends at Sterling Tea. And they are true professionals in the tea business, creating over 200 different blends and flavors, and right there in Rockwall, Texas, and serving hundreds of businesses around the nation. We've been partnering with them for a number of years and will continue to do that. They've just been great friends to us and great quality tea. They've extended to us a generous discount. If you'd like to go to the website, sterlingtea.com, and use Wells20 at checkout, they'll give you 20% off. And we encourage you to do that. Let them know that you came from us and we sent you that way. Let me just also remind you before we get started today, go out to YouTube, if you will, look us up and hit subscribe. That will help us stay connected with you. Even if you don't watch us on YouTube, I'd love for you to at least hit subscribe so we have a connection with you. We're in the middle of a changeover and moving servers and all of that. So please do that for us so we can stay connected with you. So today, joining me on the Ranch and Table is the Hunt County Commissioner for Precinct 2, my friend David Monroe.
Hello.
Thanks,
Lee, for having me.
Yeah, man. Thank you for being on and agreeing to come on. I didn't have to twist your arm too hard, I don't think. But I've been wanting to have this conversation with you for a while, and I'm glad you came out, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. I guess we should start out by how we know each other and how we get together and how we become friends over the years. And you want to start off and talk about it?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I met Lee when I started during the campaign a couple years ago through a mutual friend. And one day I get a phone call it was Lee. He introduced himself and he drilled me for about an hour what my ideals were and how I was going to do things. And by the end of the conversation, Lee said, "Man, you're a man I can support." And we met up and we just hit it off like we've known each other for years. He's been a good friend to me, and I appreciate our friendship.
I would agree with that 100%. I agree 100% on everything you said. I did drill you for a while. and anybody that listens to my podcast knows that I don't run my mouth, especially online. I don't run my mouth without knowing what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And if I have a problem, if I have a question, if I have an issue with the city, the county, the state, whoever, I'm going to go pick up the phone and try to get it resolved or figured out. And I wish more people would do that, don't you?
Yes, sir. That'd make life a lot easier.
Right? Well, not everybody does, but that's what podcasts are for, and that's what this day is for us to kind of talk about some of this because, I think it's human nature for us to kind of sit back and kind of judge what we're seeing by what we see and kind of what we don't see and what's happening to us personally. Yeah. I think it's kind of a selfish position that we have. And I think whenever we get into the details and we get into the story, we find there's a lot more going on than just what is happening to us personally. And so this is great. I'm glad that you're here. And so we do know each other from that. And then I'll just go ahead and admit it. I've not told anybody this, I don't think. But I did agree to help you on your campaign that day.
Yep.
And
very much appreciated.
Well, I believed in what you said, more than what you said, but how you said it, and that you were genuinely meaning what you were saying. I could tell. I have a sense about people, and that applies to people in office as well. I have a sense about people, always have, and I knew that day I was talking to someone that could make a difference. and wanted to. And I think what was impressive to me was you said, I don't know yet. You said that several times in the conversation, remember?
Yes, sir.
I don't know yet, but I think I'm going to be able to do this and this, but we'll have to get in there and see. And, I love that honesty, because a lot of people, they'll make all these promises they don't know anything about.
Yep.
They don't know the structure. They don't know the constraints. They don't know the processes they're walking into. A lot of presidential elections, right? They'll say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. And they don't realize that's a massive, massive machine of many years. You're not going to go do that right when you walk in the door.
Nope.
I'm sure it's the same on the county level.
Yes, sir.
There's a lot of stuff, and you just kind of have to fit into the cog and then try to make adjustments as you go, right?
Yes, sir.
Tell me about when you first sat in that first initiation or the first meetings that you go through. How crazy was it to see how that system works?
I was nervous. I'm not going to lie. I was kind of like a scared kid, if you will, just kind of sit back and stay to myself and just kind of trying to take it all in.
Yeah, listening, right?
And I've been in for 14 months now, or going on 14 months, and I'm kind of getting my, where I'm comfortable on the court, making decisions and kind of voicing my opinion. And, at first you're kind of scared to, kind of speak up on things. Sure. And I still am to an extent, just because I don't like confrontation a lot. Right. But just some things you have to stand up and say, hey, this is the way I feel.
Right. Well, you're expected to.
Yes, sir.
You're elected to do that, right?
Yes, sir.
Weigh those situations and then speak on them. Talk to us about the court, because I know that for me at least, I've known my whole life, you blame the county commissioner for the roads and the trees and the culverts, right?
Yes, sir.
I say blaming because that's what people do, right?
Yeah.
That's the job, but there's so much more to the job, right, than just the roads and keeping tree limbs picked up out of the roads. Tell me about the court, some of what you have discovered that you do and how that works.
Even myself, I've learned, I used to think that, the major part of this job was, working on the roads and things. And that's what you get judged on, because that's what the public sees.
And it is a lot of work.
Yes,
it's
sir.
a lot of what you do.
It is. And I spend a lot of time at the county barn and on the roads, not personally working, but out there, riding the roads and looking, making plans.
Sure.
I do that. Mm-hmm. But if you will, the commissioner's court, there's 4 commissioners and you have the county judge. Well, we're kind of like a CEO of a big corporation, and that's part of it I didn't really understand until I got into this. But we have the county, there's 400 and something employees. We're over the sheriff's department. We're over all the court system. That's the DA, the district attorneys, the county attorney, county clerk's office. I mean, we're over the whole government body.
The whole county, the Hunt County operation.
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah.
And you have elected officials, like the sheriff, he's elected official.
Sure.
But during budget time, he has to submit his budget to us, as every department does. And us as a commissioner's court, we have to look at those things and make cuts, or, what to save money where we can, or say, hey, we really don't want to spend the money, but we have to have this. Mm-hmm. You have to make those tough decisions.
Right.
So that's a lot of our job that people don't really see or realize that we do.
Right. And I understand that there was some tax help given this year on.
Yes, sir. We were able to cut the tax rate. I believe it was 2.5 cents on 100 valuation. Mm-hmm. Doesn't seem like a lot, but we're headed in the right direction.
I was going to say that's the right direction, because it could just as easily have been 2 or 3 or 4 cents the other way.
Yes, sir.
With all the crazy economics that we're dealing with.
Yes, sir.
So part of that job then is budgets,
yes, sir.
Oversight, and then is there anything that would maybe affect, other than the property tax side of it? Is that property tax, or is that what is that the
your property tax? Yes, sir.
Okay. What else would you say has been kind of a learning experience with the commissioner's court, while we're on that subject, that you realize that you have say so on?
Man, We pretty much we have to okay everything that it comes through the commissioner's court. Money spent, for instance, we had an elevator go bad in the courthouse.
Mm-hmm.
That has to be replaced. Well, the commissioner's court has to okay that.
Mm-hmm.
You hate spending that kind of money. I forget the dollar amount on it off the top of my head, but it was several thousands of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at that and you're like, wow. But on the other side of that, you have 2 elevators in that courthouse, and one of them's inoperable.
Right.
So you've got to get people. There's 5 stories in that. 3 stories are used in the courthouse
Mm-hmm.
To the public. So if you have people up there on that 3rd floor, in a wheelchair or something, they can't take the stairs.
Right,
So
right.
you have to get them down. So, but that's just one of the decisions we made. But there's a lot of tough decisions that we have to make like that. Is spending a lot of money, and I'm kind of tight because, I look at the taxpayers' money as my money. And that's what people elected me to do is to govern that for them and to manage it. So I try to take care of it as if it's coming out of my pocket.
So there's more. We talked about roads and stuff like that. So you have a construction background, and I know your number one guy there has a lot of construction, dirt work, type of background. But a lot of what you're talking about right now is business sense and business accountability, and so it would be real important for us to know that when election times come up, whether they're in precinct 2, 3, 1, whatever they're in, that it's not just a guy that can run a tractor or shovel hot mix into a hole, but there is a business acumen required for analyzing budgets and doing all that. And a lot of times I don't know that people put those two together. And so the person running that you're electing for these offices has to have more than just a work ethic of I can shovel.
Yes, sir.
You gotta, and so you've been a business owner for a number of years.
Yes, sir.
Run your own company for how many years?
23 years.
23 years.
Yes, sir.
Successful company, and you had to have that same business sense.
Yes, sir.
That you're using now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people told me when I was running, you run a business, but the county's not like a business. And in some ways it's not, but in a lot of ways it is, because even though we're not doing a job to make a profit, I still look at it as we've got to get that job done, because the longer we're on that job, the more money it's costing, the taxpayers or me as out of my budget. So I like to schedule things and to get things done, to get them accomplished. So I think you have to have business mind to be successful.
Yeah. Well, it's in that position for sure. It would help. I mean, I can't imagine someone that's never run a company or a business making decisions on my tax dollars and budgets. And I mean, we're talking multi-million-dollar budgets, right?
Yes, sir. My budget, basically every precinct, we have 4 precincts in the county, and our operating budget is right at $4 million. Just a little over $4 million per precinct. So like little over 16 million goes to the precincts.
Wow.
But for the whole county, I believe, I may misquote this, I believe it's like 78 million for the total budget for the whole county.
Yeah, and so let me make sure I get this right. You, the judge, and 3 other commissioners are overseeing $78 million a year.
Yes, sir.
I'm glad you've run a successful
Yes,
business.
Sir. Yeah.
I'm glad you could do more than just push some dirt around. Thank you. Thank you for cutting my taxes. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
That's interesting, though, because I think a lot of people miss that side of the work that you do.
Yes, sir.
How much time do you think you spend in the court side of things in a year? You've been there just a year and 2 months. Do you spend a couple days a week, a couple days a month? How much time do you spend in that office doing that kind of work, numbers?
We have court on the 2nd and 4th Tuesday of every month.
Okay,
and
twice a month.
So I go there, and we're there usually 2 or 3 hours taking care of that business. I generally go up to the courthouse for about an hour a day to, check emails and kind of go over that type of stuff.
You have an office at the courthouse?
Yes, sir.
Okay, right.
My goal is when I took over I've had to spend so much time in the precinct to kind of get that, things taken care of and get it lined out, go in the direction that I want it to go, to kind of show my men what I expect and, train my foreman, kind of, put my DNA in him, if you will. Mm-hmm. So we're pretty much there. And so my goal this year is I want to start spending more time at the courthouse on the business side of it, the administrative side of it. Mm-hmm. I want to try to look more into the budget and understanding that. It's very complicated to figure out. I mean, just because it's so big and there's so many pieces to the puzzle that go into that. Mm-hmm. So I want to spend more time figuring that out. And then I want to look at ways, is there more ways that we could actually cut, to save money? And what could we cut out? Maybe do away with this or something that maybe if you save $500,000 here and $500 there, well, that adds up to $1 million. Well, that helps. Every little bit helps.
Do that 7 or 8 times for us.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe start looking at some grant programs, that where we could get some grants on helping with the infrastructure in the county, grants on rebuilding these roads. Right. So that's my heart. Going forward is what I want to do is try to get more into that.
Right. That makes sense. The thing you alluded to there when you were talking about that the first is I've lived in Precinct 2 on and off for my whole life, pretty much. We moved out here. I was in 7th grade, so it's a long time. I moved away
3 years ago.
Something like that. 6 or 8. No, I've got a class reunion coming up this year. It's got a 3 in there, I'm not as young as I look. But yeah, I've grown up out here, and I would never want to throw stones. That's not what I do on this show for sure. But there were times that were better than others. There were commissioners that did a better job than others. I think that's a fair statement. And there was quite a bit of work that you had to do. I don't know if you know this. Maybe you do. My road was so bad at one point. Me, the guy that worked for me, a couple guys that worked for me, we bought a load of asphalt regrind and some bag asphalt from Home Depot and mixed it in the bucket of my tractor, and we fixed our own road.
That's terrible.
No,
I'm not laughing at it, but that's terrible.
That's a true story. I've got pictures on my Facebook from it. And we went up and down this road. I don't know anything about roads. I don't know anything about fixing asphalt. But I researched it, and here's what we did. We mixed that by hand. We packed it in by the tractor tire, and then we came back over it with a mix of hydraulic oil and diesel and sprayed over the top of that patch and ran it again with the tractor. Did we do okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that we fixed the whole road, and people got excited about it and thought something was changing, and they didn't realize that I had done. Me and my 2 guys.
Do you need a job?
No, sir, not right now. I got plenty going, but I'll let you know.
Okay.
But yeah, we did that ourselves, and so that was partly why I called you. Because I had pulled out of my drive with a load of cattle on a gooseneck trailer, and the hole was so deep that my back axle fell down in it, and it literally sprung the whole axle and ruined the trailer. And it wasn't anything I had done. It was just that when I pulled out onto the road, the old top road, the hole was so big that axle fell down into that, and it was loaded. Had a load of cattle on it. It literally sprung that whole hanger and everything. And I had to take it down to Tom down here at the end of the road. And he's the only one I knew that would even look at it. And I can tell you that story one of these days. He had to put his, I don't know how many million-ton winch on the front of that truck and trailer and wrench that thing back in with that winch. It was crazy, the amount of tension, and we were all nervous, hoping nothing broke. And he got it. I'm telling you the story now, I guess.
Yeah.
I think he had a 20-pound sledge.
Yep.
I think it was one of the bigger.
That's a big one.
It's the biggest sledge I had ever swung. And I literally hit the bottom of that trailer so hard my feet came off the ground. And he said, again. And I hit it. Again, I hit it. And my feet were coming up. I'm a pretty good-sized guy. I'm 6'1", something, and my feet were coming off the ground. I was hitting that thing so hard, hoping that winch didn't come loose. And he said, all right, that's it. He tack welded it back into place for me. I should never have had to have my trailer repaired for the road damage that was out there. And so, that kind of stuff. At one point, I had made like 9 phone calls to the office, to the barn. And I called both numbers, the one at the courthouse and left messages. And so I was frustrated. And I'm just a citizen. I'm not in an elected position. I don't ask for much. I pay my taxes. I don't owe the IRS anything. I don't owe the county anything. And I was ticked. And so when I found out that you were running, and we have a mutual friend connecting us, they said, you know what, this guy's an honest guy. And so that's why I gave you that phone call in the fifth degree or whatever, because I wanted to make sure we were going to get a chance at some change. And man, you have really done, I believe, a great job. I want to do something real quick, if you don't mind. We designed this, and we'll put this up in post. We'll put this up for folks to watch and look at. It says, "Vote David Monroe, a new vision with integrity and leadership you can trust." And this is a graphic I built for the campaign. And I had just known you a few weeks when I wrote this. But we talked, and I said, let's put down some things that you think you can do. And let's not overdo it. I mean, just come do some work. It'd be good. And then Hunt County Commissioner Precinct 2. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 stars, and they'll see it on the screen. And it says, better use of existing resources. And so I want to go down this list, and I want you to tell me how you've been doing. This is your scorecard. 14 months in, 1 year and 2 months. Tell me how you've redone some of your resources, how you've restructured that to get some work done.
Man, we took one thing we did is we had a reclaimer there, and that grinds the roads up. That thing had been setting. Well, we took and maintenanced it and got it back. We've done 2 roads with it. We kind of put that on the back burner for right now. It worked, but what we found out is the roads have been neglected for so many years, and there again, we're not throwing stones here. They were just neglected.
It is what it is. So
what we realized is when we go out and grind a road up, it takes so long to get that done, that process. Well, the guy over here on this 1 mile we're doing is real happy, but the people with the 249 other miles aren't happy with us because their roads are still tore up. Yes, sir. So what we've kind of done is went back into we put the grinder up, and now we're just going in and we're repairing bad spots in the road, just the worst spots. We're by no means making the road perfect. We're going in. What I'm saying, soft spots, that's where a base failure is, and you'll have like they've potholed it for 20 or 30 times there. You can see this looks like little ant hills or whatever in the road. So we'll go in and dig those up. You dig down about 18 inches to 2 foot, and you get down into that base. What that is a base failure, and that's where water has got into that base, and it's just soft. It's mud.
So you're talking about if someone's building, they're not familiar with the road, you come in on a road and you clean out what's going to be the road base. You get a solid base, right?
Yes, sir.
And then you start building layers of rock and building up a solid surface.
Yes, sir.
And the last thing that you do, 18 inches up in the air, or 24 inches up in the air, is finally the nice layer of surface. But there's 18 to 24 inches of road that you don't see, right?
Yeah, that's underneath it. That's the base.
And if that base has failed, meaning there's been a hole and water shoved down in there, soaked down in there for years, you'll never get that to hold on that top layer.
Yeah.
It'll just keep sinking.
Sinking and sinking.
So you go in and you dig it all out.
Yes, sir.
And start over and put dry material, pack it in. Yeah. So for those that don't know, I think that's helps us understand.
Like you were saying is we'll go in and your road surface is only going to be about 3 to 4 inches thick. The black top that you see on the top. You get below that, and then you'll have a rock base that's the white rock That's your base, and that's going to be about 4 to 5 inches. It should be. Sometimes we're finding that it's not.
Sure.
But you get past that, and you get down into the base, which is the dirt, which was the natural dirt, the virgin dirt that was there.
But it was packed.
It was packed, compacted.
With packers and
yes, sir. And just over the years, where the roads haven't been maintained, is you'll get water down in that base, and there's no way for it to dry out. And especially if you have water standing in the ditches, that sits there and it soaks up. It's just kind of like your slab on your house. That's why they say you want to get water away from your house slab, because that water will sit there and go underneath your slab, and it creates a soft spot under your house. Well, then your house starts settling,
right,
because of that base failure. The road is the same thing. So what we're doing is going in, and we're actually digging out those soft spots on these roads, putting new base back in, and that's, white rock is crushed concrete.
Right.
It's a base rock. We go in, you compact all that in. We like to let it set for a week or 2 weeks, but sometimes we get so many complaints about, hey, y'all turned our road back into a rock road or whatever. Right. So we're trying to not let it set more than a week now, just trying to get it compacted and then get back out and get it covered back up with, with oil sand.
Right.
And then a lot of the roads, pretty much a lot of the roads in good shape, the center of the road, but you'll have like on what we're calling the shoulder of the road, which would be 2 to 3 foot from the edges are gone. So what we're doing is going back in and putting the edges back in. And what we found when we're doing these, we're able to do a mile, and it varies to how much damage you have in that mile, but what we've been averaging is between $15,000 to $30,000 a mile. Well, when you go in and you overlay that road, we were spending $150,000 to $175,000. Well,
per mile.
Per mile.
Okay.
So I told you our budget is $4 million. Well, out of that $4 million, that's not all material. Out of that $4 million comes salaries, insurance, retirement,
equipment,
fuel.
Yeah.
We got to pay for the utilities at the barn. So we cut that down to probably a little bit less than $2 million, so if you're spending $150,000, $175,000 a mile, that doesn't go
not very far. Right. Right.
But we've cut it back to, like I said, $15,000 to $30,000 a mile with going in. We're calling it a level up is what we're doing. We're not rebuilding the road, but we're correctly repairing the road.
Okay.
And we can cover more miles doing that and get these roads, get the maintenance caught up on these roads.
Making them safer.
Yes, safer.
Yeah.
And once we get them back where they're all caught up and safe, then I want to go back I want to do a complete rebuild on a road. And that's where we'll take the grinder. You grind that surface up and get down to your base, restabilize your base you can put lime in it or maybe concrete, grind it into it, get your base stabilized, and then come back in and put a new oil surface on top of it. Then you have a road that's a 15-year road.
It's going to last, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
But just for the time and the resources right now, we had to kind of change our plan that we started out with, just going back to that.
So let me ask you this. You said 250 miles of road is what you're responsible for?
Yes, sir.
So 250 miles of road
yes, sir.
Is what is in the precinct, not the county.
That's the precinct, precinct.
That's
too.
Your purview is
yes, sir.
250 miles.
Yeah.
Okay, so 250 miles of work. And for the most part, I would say most of that needed some attention.
Yes, sir.
And that's being kind.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So better use of existing resources. And tell me about the equipment yard. Y'all went through and cleaned that up, and we were talking about it earlier. And you were able to auction off some stuff that wasn't used, some old trucks and stuff. Tell me about what you did. That's resources, existing resources.
Yes, sir. What I did is when I took over, man, and I've had so many compliments on the yard.
It looks good.
We've cleaned it up.
It looks really professional, nice, clean. Yes, sir.
We don't have it 100% like I want it, but we can't spend all of our time up there cleaning the yard.
Right.
But we've made a lot.
That's one of those things people give you. They give you a thumbs up, but they really want you working on the road.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sir. I got it.
Well, what I did is last year at this time of year is around April. I took a bunch of equipment that was sitting around. Some of the guys that's worked there for years, they told me some of this equipment's set for 12 plus years.
Okay.
Never used it, didn't move. Some of it wouldn't even run. Anyways, we put it in an auction, and after commissions were paid, it was right at $285,000 that went back to the county, but that goes into my equipment budget.
Okay.
And so, to me, that's using our resources that's been sitting around.
Absolutely.
And so I freed up $285,000.
Right.
That went back to help with
stuff you weren't using.
Yes, sir.
To put it back into something that's new.
Yes, sir.
Usable. Sure. I would say that was what that is. And then we talk about the second point was repair all county roads. And that's what you were saying is you had a plan you thought would work. Once you got into it, you realized there's a lot more work here than we got time and resources to spend on. So we got to go pick the worst ones, do the most we can do, and then work as we can work on it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And then the correction of ditches and culverts was the next one, which
yes,
I think you alluded to with the shoulders. And
yes, sir.
How many culverts have y'all had to go dig out and make work?
Man, I was talking about that Friday with my foreman, and we've got all of it in a computer,
Yeah.
and he takes a daily log. He keeps a log of everything we do every day.
Sure.
We didn't just sit down and go through all of it, but he set a safe number on culverts that we changed out last year, or since we took over 14 months.
Mm-hmm.
It's 50. We've changed out 50 culverts. I don't know how many feet of ditch that we've actually cleaned out.
Yeah.
But man, we've made a lot of progress.
So let me talk about that, because you talk about the roads being in bad shape, or the roads, water standing in ditches, causing soft spots in the road. And for those that don't know, that's the number one destroyer of any base, like you were talking about a house
sir.
or whatever. So it doesn't matter if you go fill a pothole.
No, sir.
You've got to get the water running down the road and down away from the ditch and out.
Yes, sir.
And the culverts have to work, or you're just wasting time patching a hole that's going to reappear.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
So building better ditches, shoulders, and culverts, even though it's not, sexy, it's not amazing. I got a brand new road. It was necessary. I know that y'all worked on my road out here for a little bit, and y'all didn't have the budget for a couple of the culverts,
Yes,
but
sir.
y'all were here working. I said, hey, if I go buy the culvert and put it in, or put it out there, will you help me with it? And I love the fact that you're working with people.
Yeah.
You were just telling me a while ago about cleaning out some ditches this last week or two, and getting the water to flow right. And the guy bought lunch or something.
Yeah, the homeowner came out and he's actually came out and asked my guys, hey, can you take care of this ditch while y'all are here? It stands in water. And so they're like, yeah, sure. That's what we're out here doing is cleaning ditches. So they actually cleaned his ditch for him and got the water running out. And I didn't know it, but the guys told me, he said, hey, that gentleman bought our lunch.
Hey,
and,
I like it.
Man, that goes a long ways, man.
That's a thank
my
you.
guys, they like thank you.
Yeah.
They're not used to seeing that.
Everybody does. Everybody appreciates a pat on the back. Strong and fair leadership. I think you've got pretty much same crew for the most part. You think?
Yes, sir. I've let 2 or 3 guys go.
Yeah.
And changed them out, and then I've added. We had empty spots, and I had let, I think, 3 guys go. So I've let go. I've added 6 guys since I've been there.
Okay.
So we have total. I have 10 workers, and then I have a foreman and myself. So there's 12 of us total.
Okay. All right. That's really not a lot of people for the amount of work you guys have to do.
That's not if you do the math on it. I told you I have 250 miles, and basically you have 10 people because I can't be on a tractor every day,
Right,
and
right.
my foreman obviously he needs to be scheduling things, getting material different places,
Sure.
and returning phone calls. So basically you have 10 guys, so that's 25 miles per guy. But the thing is, most of the things that we do require 3, 5, 6 guys.
Sure.
Doing that.
It's a crew. Sure.
Yeah, it's a crew.
Yeah, for sure. I would say leadership. I love the way that you have a clear direction. You know what you're doing. You've had to pivot a couple times because things didn't quite work out the way that maybe you had hoped, and you just keep plugging at it and finding solutions. And I think that's what leadership is. Accountability. Talk to us about accountability policy and that communication, open communication.
Lee, whenever, when I campaigned and when you and I talked, that was during campaign, that was the number one complaint from people, from the constituents.
Yeah.
And like I say, man, I'm not here to throw stones at anything.
I
I'm
called
just
at
talking,
least 9 times. I understand.
So I'm just talking, person to person, whatever.
Sure.
People would say, "Man, we call, and we can't get a response. Nobody even returns our phone call. People don't even, they don't show up. If they don't return a phone call, they're sure not going to show up."
Yeah.
Well, I determined early on, and that's one thing I campaigned on, and I campaigned hard, is I will open an open line. I'll have an open line of communication between my office and the constituents.
Yeah.
I done that day one. We had the phone calls went way down, but when I first took over, it was, seriously, 20, 30 calls a day.
Wow.
No joke.
Wow.
I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah.
I can sit here and honestly tell you, we have returned that I know of. We have returned every single phone call. I have returned every single email. That was one thing that my foreman and I, when I brought him on with me, we had that agreement. We are going to return every phone call.
Yeah.
I believe that every citizen, constituent, if you call my office, you deserve a phone call back.
Yeah.
We may not tell you what you want to hear or give you the answer you want, but we're going to call you back and you're going to get an answer.
Sure.
And so many people has told us thank you for calling us back. Even if they don't get the answer that they want, or we give them a reason why we can't do something, they're like, "Hey, thank you for calling us back.
Yeah.
We appreciate that."
It's at least you could do.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And so another thing I did is I've got two emails that you can email me 24/7, 365 days a year. We'll get them. I've got an office, at the courthouse that we have a phone number there, and I have a phone at the barn, and we have a recorder on that because we're very seldom in the office at the barn.
Right.
We're out in the precinct. If you leave a message on that, we're going to call you back. Or if you send me an email and ask for a phone call back, we're going to reply to that email and to that phone call.
Mm-hmm. Did I see the trucks have your number on them now?
Yeah, that's what I was going to tell you is on all the company, the county vehicles in the precinct, I went and had our email and phone number put on the vehicles, on the sides and on the back of it. I want people, because these trucks are out in the precinct, while we're working.
Sure.
I want people to know who's out there. It's the county working. And if you want something done while we're there, or you have a complaint, or you want to just say thank you, I want you to know how to get a hold of us. You know,
right.
And I think I've made myself more than available.
I would agree.
So
the fact that you answered all those calls, I think, is honorable. But you said you were going to do it. That was what you had. A lot of times we hear campaign promises, and nobody believes campaign promises anymore for good reason, because they just fall through. And a lot of that may be because they're not honest about the fact that they don't know the systems they're walking into. But I think that everything that you said you were going to do, you're working on doing. And I think that there's people who probably say, "Man, my road is as bad as it's ever been." Well, you're one of 250 miles that it's going to take some time. Yeah. What's your plan on getting all of that? I think we talked a few weeks ago about how you were going to approach getting to everybody at some point. You have a plan to catch it.
Lee, what we did, because obviously we can't be everywhere.
Right.
I mean, you just can't. Nobody can. It's not humanly possible.
No. But at least you can have a plan.
Yeah. Yeah. And what I did is I started driving the roads before I ever took office, and kind of I found what I deemed was the worst roads. Okay. And some roads, that's probably not correct to say the worst roads, but what we did is I judge a road on how much traffic is on that road. Okay. Like for instance, we went over our first road that we did was 2706 in Caddo. There's a bunch. It's over by the schools. There's thousands of people that travel that road every single day, taking their children to school.
Right.
That road was terrible, real dangerous,
And very important.
very important.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I made that one my first road.
Sure.
The ones that we did. You know, I took another one over in Union Valley, that 2526. That road has about like 6 subdivisions down it. Thousands of cars literally going down it every day, high speeds, you know. That road was dangerous.
Right.
So we went over and took care of that road.
So you have a criteria that you built.
Yes,
that
sir.
says it's going to be an important road, the number of people on the road, and then which ones need the most attention out of those,
sir.
right? And you just work your way across.
And what we did, to be fair about it, is I went in all the precinct and I did a road in each precinct. You know, like I did one in Caddo, I did one in Union Valley, I done one in Quinlan.
You said precinct, but you mean every section of the precinct?
Every section of the precinct.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I have Poetry, Caddo Mills, Quinlan, Cash, Caddo Mills.
And then
And
some of Greenville?
Yeah, some of Greenville.
Yeah.
So I went in every area and did at least one road in each area.
Right.
To be fair, because I had some people say, well, why didn't you finish this area? This road over here is bad. Well, I explained to him what I was doing and why, and he goes, well, I don't understand why you don't stay in one area. And so I'm like, okay, well, say I go off of your ideal and I stay in one area and finish that whole area, I'm going to start in Poetry. And you live in Caddo Mills.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be years before I get over here to Caddo Mills to fix your road.
It's going to be a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so start making a showing in some places.
Yes, sir.
That you can, and in the worst places of the worst.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I guess there's probably not a wrong way to do it as long as you're working.
Yes,
I
sir.
think one of the greatest things also we forgot to mention on the communication side, you have a Facebook page.
Yes, sir.
And tell them what that Facebook page is, because you put updates and pictures and what you did all during the week and day to day.
Yes, sir. What I try to do is go in once a week, at the end of the week typically, and I take pictures throughout the week. And so I post those pictures so people can see, and I give them, explanation of what we're doing. I want people to see what we're doing. I want people to know, hey, we weren't maybe on your road or in front of your house, but we were several other places, and here's what we were doing, So I had when I started out, I had a Facebook page, and for some reason it shut down, and we hadn't been able to figure out why.
Yeah, Facebook messed that up.
Yeah.
I think it was tied to the political side, and Facebook and politics, but it gets kind of sticky.
Yeah.
They're not really a fair entity when it comes to that. Yeah.
If you want to go on my website, it's
the Facebook page.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It's Hunt County Commissioner Precinct 2, and you can go on there and follow us. We're about to try to get more aggressive with that Facebook page. What I mean by that, I want to start doing some videos of like showing the road before. And kind of doing little short videos explaining why we're doing what we're doing, and kind of show that process.
A lot of people just don't know.
Yeah, they don't know. And I'm trying to be as informative as I can to people, because a lot of times people get upset. It's because they don't understand or they don't know what's going on.
Right.
So if you can explain that and take a lot of the whys or whatever out of it, it makes sense.
And that's why I love having you on here is someone may hear this and say, oh, Lee loves David Monroe. Well, Lee does love David Monroe, but Lee loves what David Monroe's doing for this precinct. And I think that other guys in position ought to look at what you're doing and say, man, that guy's doing a great job, or maybe I need to do better, or whatever. But it's more about the job that you said you would do and then are doing. But as to what you're saying with the ignorance level that's there, I'm trying my best to get a TxDOT engineer on with me, because I'd love for him. I got his number. I've called him twice. I'm about to make him public, and everyone's going to start bombarding him. No, I wouldn't do that. But he understands everything that's going on from Greenville to Roy City, all the way to the bridge in Rockwall. He understands everything that's happening, when the overpasses are going down, how they're going to route. And I think there's so much frustration out there because we can't tell what's going on.
Yeah.
There's cones and then these new ramps and all this stuff. And I think I try to explain to him, if you could just do a good job of explaining what you're doing, I think you would get a lot more grace as to the process, because we don't know what you're doing. You build a ramp and it's got big bumps in it. You make this exit ramp, it's got these big dips in it. You're doing 70 miles an hour and you're going airborne. I have no idea what they're doing. Have you been on 30 over here, coming up to 1903, right before you get to the truck stop? They put a speed bump in the middle of 30. And
I don't know what's wrong with that.
I went airborne the other day in that thing. Today I was coming in and I slowed down. These cars are trying to go around me and whip around me. I'm like, go ahead, man. It's got a speed bump in that lane too. You'll see. You'll see why I'm slowing down. But on that subject, when the ice storm came through and that ice hit, that deep freeze that we had, there was a lot of people online that were saying, my commissioner's not doing anything. Talk to us about what your purview is on the different types of roads, how that works.
What we've got, Lee, is on your on interstates like Interstate 30. That's a state highway. Mm-hmm. Your FM roads like FM 36, 1903. Those are state roads.
Okay. So you don't have anything to do
No,
with
I have no authority.
You can't touch that, can you?
I can. It would be the same as you going out there and getting on it. You're going to get in trouble.
Right.
Same thing as city roads. I have no authority on city roads.
Okay.
Now, saying that, we do have an interlocal agreement with the city of Caddo Mills. We have one with Quinlan and Poetry. Sometimes they'll call me, and like Poetry the other day, she's needing some potholes repaired over there. So I figured up a price, what it would cost to do that.
Okay.
She took it before city council. They approved it. She brought a check for the amount to the county, to the courthouse.
Okay.
And so we're going to get that on schedule to go over to help, do potholes. We can do that if we have an interlocal agreement with them, but if we just can't go over there and just start doing something.
So people are so upset about the construction going on, and then the service road was really bad. Yeah. It was horrible, and it's in this precinct.
Yeah,
but that's not anything that you can work on.
It was nothing that I could do,
right.
and I had on Facebook. Facebook can be your worst enemy or it can be your friend.
Right.
But there was a lot of people during that time. Well, call the commissioner. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. Well, you can call me, but there's, I'll explain it to you, but there's nothing that I can do on a state highway. I did call TxDOT, and they did get out. But during that time, man, it was raining, freezing weather, and you can't do anything.
So talk about that. The things in the wintertime really slow you down on what you can do, right?
Yes, sir.
Cold weather.
Yeah, the cold. They say it needs to be 50 degrees and rising. That's the road temperature for oil sand to really work properly. Okay. And to put that in perspective, one day, like after you have these cold nights, the weather's been down, say in the 40s or whatever. Yeah. Well, you go out there that day and it may be up 80 degrees. Well, one day we took a thermometer. We had one of the guys we buy road oil from, and he just came over and we were talking about different things. And so he was shooting the road with that thermometer, and it was 70-something degrees that day. So, but the road temperature was still in the 40s. Mm. So
it wouldn't have set right.
Yeah, he said, I mean, you can do it, but you're kind of wasting your time and your money because it's not going to set up proper.
Because everything that we're talking about, asphalt and oil sand, all of that is all petroleum based.
Yes, sir.
So temperature affects it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So it'd be like butter that you can spread on toast or not, right?
Yeah.
There's something to all that. I'm glad y'all figured all that out.
And same thing with water. Water affects it also. Yeah. That's why we try not to, go out and patch potholes. When it's raining or just right after a rain or whatever, because it has water.
You don't want to trap that water in the bottom.
Yeah, because that just goes down into the base, and then the oil doesn't bond to it.
Okay.
So, talking about potholes on pothole repairs, I hate doing those just because it's kind of per se a waste.
Temporary.
But, yeah, it's temporary, but that's what people need to realize. It's a temporary fix. But the fact is, you have to do that because these roads get potholes in them, and if you don't go fix them, they just get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Right.
So we try to run our trucks, at least once a month. We have 3 patch trucks, and I'll get those out, put all 3 of them out, and we try to stay on top. My foreman now, we try to ride around, take notes of potholes when we see them.
Calls come in.
Yeah, calls come in.
Make
And we try to go take and get those.
Yeah.
Especially those that get called in. We try to go get those ASAP.
Right.
But
man, it's a full-time job.
It is, man.
And it's a job that's never going to go away, I don't guess.
No.
But that's what you signed up for.
It is.
Let me ask you this: if you were to rewind and go back, would you say you're having a good time with it? Are you glad that you did this?
Man, be honest, I'm having fun.
That's good.
I don't regret it at all.
That's good.
There are days, just like with anything, it has its challenges, and
Sure.
you're like, man, what did I do?
Yeah.
But majority of the days, I love it.
Yeah.
And I kind of knew, the first year or two was going to be, or had a real good idea. It was going to be tough because people had me under the microscope. Hey, is he going to do what he said he was going to do?
Right.
And so I was prepared for a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'm having fun, and I hope to be here many more years.
That's good. That's good.
So,
well, I know you got a good crew. I know some of them, and
I've got a real good crew.
They're good folks.
Yep.
They're good guys, hardworking. Man, I appreciate the insight on some of these things because I don't think that we don't get a good picture at election time.
Yeah.
People are talking hot topics, people are talking whatever they're talking, and then it goes away, right?
Yeah.
And nobody's talking about it, and then people have questions. There's no real forum to understand this process and what you do and how it works. And so I'm really glad to have this conversation today with you. So we talked about the size of the precinct. We talked about the condition of the roads. We've talked about a lot of stuff today. Outside of the road maintenance and tree trimming and all that kind of stuff we know about, you've got the court that you run as well with the other guys. And then what do you think your number one goal is as you move forward? Because you've got some stuff established. You talked about looking into budgets, but what do you think if you can accomplish by the end of your term? You got 3 years roughly left, right?
Yes, sir.
Of your term. What would you say would be an amazing accomplishment to say that this is what I've done with these 4 years?
Man, on the roadside, I'd like to have all the roads in a safe condition.
Okay.
I mean, that's really the main reason I ran for the job.
Mm-hmm.
Is I've lived in Precinct 2 for 23 years.
Okay.
And I just seen the shape of it.
Mm-hmm.
And, just from running a business, and being in construction, I didn't know, but I pretty much knew that I could make a difference in it.
Yeah.
And that's still my heart, is to get these roads in the condition, a safe condition. And that's where I want to go with it. That's in the barn side. At the office side of it, or in the courthouse side of it, I would like to get it where, everybody wants to lower, property tax, but
right.
I want to be more conscious of that and try to get the tax rates lower, and a lot of that is the state regulates a lot of that, on the like appraisals and stuff. They tell us we have to go off of fair market value.
Right.
So if your neighbor, a lot of people don't understand that. That's not the county that does that. Whenever you say your neighbor has a house over here that's, say, a $500,000 house, and he sells that house for $800,000. Well, then another guy down the road, the same thing. Well, guess what? Now your $500,000 house, that has to be appraised at $800,000. It has to go for fair market value. That's what the state of Texas says that the county has to do. Well, the county takes a lot of heat on that because y'all are just raising our appraisals up. Well, it's because the state says that's what we have to do. So I would like to try to get into maybe see if I could get some of that changed. You know, where the average citizen or all citizens don't have such a tax burden. You know,
That'd be awesome. That'd be
not
really
saying I can get it done. I'm not making any promises,
Right.
but that's kind of some things that I want to work on.
yeah. That'd be a good goal. I think that we would all appreciate that effort. People who owns.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add to the conversation before we get into my favorite part, which is a rapid fire question?
Oh man, that's the part I'm dreading.
No, it's fun. Anything
Man,
you'd like to add?
I would like to say, you know, I think you seen my passion that I had during campaign
I did.
for this job. And I want to say, since I started this, and I don't want this to sound like cliche or whatever, but man, my passion, it drives me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I wake up at, you know, early in the mornings thinking about things. And seriously, you know, and it's because it's on my mind. I go to bed or go home at night and I'm mentally drained. You know, not because I physically worked or whatever. And one of my friends asked me the other day, he said, you know why you're physically drained or mentally drained? I said, no. He said, it's because you care. That's why you're so drained and you're wore out, you know?
Yeah. Well, mental stress and thought is as tiring, as wearying as physical labor.
Yeah.
Sometimes more.
But no, I'm glad I took this job.
Good.
And I appreciate the people that back us. You know, during our time here, we've had citizens come up and buy lunch for everybody. We've had people bring donuts by the shop in the morning, and just people drive by, give you thumbs up and say thank you. That makes it all worth it to me.
Right.
You know,
and there's always going to be squeaky wheels, and there's always
yeah.
going to be people that don't understand the process, that are going to be kind of mouthy and stuff. But really, that's anything you do. The more you do, the more you get that. It's just kind of life.
I've kind of found out the last year that, and I'm a people pleaser, and so it kind of bothers me some. But I've kind of learned people are going to speak, you know, so you just have to let things roll off your back. And I always tell my guys, you know, hey, if you can look yourself in the mirror and you say, hey, I'm proud of that guy right there. I'm proud of what he done. That's all that really matters.
Yeah. You have to be proud of it. And I know you are. I know you're proud of your team.
Yeah.
I think y'all are doing a great job. Well, let's do this thing. Today's rapid fire segment brought to you by our friends at Fate Creamery. It's Fate Creamery. Some of the best ice cream and Italian ice in the world. And not only are they local award winners, but they are also national award winning ice cream, and that's a big deal. And so go by, get some of the best ice cream in the world, right across from the fire station in Fate. It's Fate Creamery, and that is ice cream done right. And ask them for a 20% off your order because of the podcast. All right, so here's how this works. I'm going to let you go first, and you get to ask your first question. I'm going to do my best to answer it, and then I'm going to get to ask you, and we'll go back and forth for 3 questions.
I want to ask you, because you're a pastor of a church.
Yeah.
You manage a ranch, manage a restaurant, manage this podcast. You wrote a book, and whatever else you do in life.
Yeah.
How do you keep it all in perspective, and how do you not get burnout?
Okay, that's a great question. That's 2 questions. But let me start by saying perspective is the reason I do everything I do is rooted in the call that I have to help people. So the reason I started the beef company was to help people with the most healthy beef that's on the planet. And our beef actually lowers cholesterol. I mean, it's amazing what our beef does for people. I learned all of that after going through a heart attack myself and having those struggles. And so, and then the restaurant, we just love people.
Yeah.
We take care of folks. We don't want you to have a problem. If you have a problem, we want to fix it. And we want to be a blessing to people. We want to give you good food. We want to give you good time. And we want you to know we care. This podcast, the book, is about helping people. I hope people read the book. I haven't brought the book up yet. You did. So I'm going to just show it right here. I'm sure they'll show it on the screen. But if you don't have this book, grab it. You can get it at leewellsofficial.com. The book is about helping business owners do better at their perspective of why they do what they do and how they do it. And it's just an interesting take on kind of our journey and what we've learned along the way that works and is award-winning. And so I hope that translates into helping people. So that's how I get tired. I get worn out, but I don't get burnout because I believe that my purpose for doing all of those things comes from a calling in my life. I preached today, went to lunch, came home doing this. This is a Sunday. We're recording on a Sunday today. And it doesn't bother me at all to be able to do all that because I'm driven by that passion to help folks. And I hope that this educates people and it helps them understand the processes that you guys are going through. And it's really not about me. This podcast isn't about me. It's about others. And then I compartmentalize things pretty well. And that's how I am able to keep doing what I do. Yeah. I try not to let things bleed over into each other too much. If we're having a bad day at the restaurant or something's going on, I try to keep that in perspective with where it's at, what's going on, central to that, and then try to let the other parts of my life be what they're supposed to be. And so I don't know how to even explain that. Yeah. But I love what I'm doing, and I love doing all of this, and it's fun, and it's fun to get somebody write in and say, man, that podcast really helped me. That thanks for saying those things. That really, so that's for me. That's how. Well, I don't know if I answered that or not.
You did.
Here's a question that I keep asking my guests because I think it's a fun question. There's a million questions I can ask, but I think this is a fun one. If you have to pick one song, it's your walk-up song, like baseball pitchers, right? What's your walk-up song?
Oh, man. One Day at a Time, Sweet Jesus.
I'm not sure that's going to get the crowd going. That's what put them to sleep. All right. What's your second question?
If you could sit down with anybody, whether they're still alive or deceased, and have a conversation with them, who would it be?
Okay. Well, of course, the standard answer would be my dad. If I could have one more conversation with my dad.
That's the same answer I have.
I mean, that's probably a given. Outside of my dad, probably my pastor that passed back in 17. He was not 17, 07. You remember the guy that was killed on a motorcycle out in front of Cracker Barrel? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was my pastor, Scott McManus. My mentor, one of the most, other than my dad, one of the most important people in my life. And I'd love to have a conversation with him. Yeah, I'd love for him and Dad to come sit together and we talk about all the stuff that's going on. Yeah,
I'd like to be in that conversation.
It'd be awesome. It'd be awesome. I tell you, and this is kind of crazy. It's kind of an off subject, but I've had a couple dreams in my life. I don't know, maybe God gave them to me, but a couple times that I've been going through things, and I dreamed that I was having a conversation either with one of those two men. Like we were sitting down in a park bench just talking, or at a dinner just talking, and I wake up feeling like I had a conversation with them, and it was almost as if it had happened. Yeah, felt like it had happened, and I just think that's a miracle. I mean, I just give God credit for that. But those are awesome times when
that's cool.
It's happened a couple times, and pretty cool. All right, here we go. This is an easy one for you. Would you rather have hot weather or cold weather, and why?
I think I'd rather have hot weather.
Yeah.
Because I can always get cool.
You always get air conditioner.
And my bones hurt when I'm cold.
Yeah.
No, we can be just more productive. I'm in a better mood when it's warm outside. Yeah. And because I'm an outside person. Mm-hmm. And when I'm having to sit around and not really do anything, be active, I kind of get moody, irritable. I mean, just
I agree with that.
so
I'm more productive.
I'd rather have hot weather.
I'm more productive in the summertime for
Yeah.
sure. I also hate the stupid time change.
Yeah.
I hate it getting dark at 4 o'clock, 4:30, 4:45.
Me too.
I'd rather it get dark at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
You know, that's me. All right, go ahead.
Wow. If you could change anything that's happened to you in your life, what would you change? Whether that's good or bad.
That's a hard question because I'm one that has accepted that I don't believe everything happens for a reason. I don't believe that statement.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it is a true statement. Sometimes things happen because people are stupid.
Yeah.
But so maybe the statement is true. I'm not sure everything's ordained to happen the way it happens, but I have come to understand, at least to deal with things in my life that have come that maybe I have hated, to try to see some lesson from it, to learn from it.
Mm-hmm.
I've lost everything twice in my life, and I wouldn't change it though.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go back. Even though it was a horrible time. I lost everything. Moved back home with my mom and dad, with my new daughter and wife, and it was bad. It was bad. The first company went defunct. It was a bad deal. But I wouldn't be the man I am today. I wouldn't have the respect I have for money and some of the wisdom that I have in some of the things. That sounds funny to say it out loud, but there's a lot that comes from that.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I would change anything.
Isn't it amazing how those tough times build our character?
Yeah.
I mean,
The tough times are what make us.
Yeah.
Easy times can almost make us worthless.
yeah.
The having a lot of money, the having a lot of stuff going good is almost detrimental.
Yeah.
If we're not careful. And I think that the hard times come so that we can manage those good times and appreciate them. So I don't know. I mean, if I could go back and change one thing, I wish my dad would take better care of himself when he was older. Diabetes got him. And I think that he might have gone sooner because he didn't take care of himself.
Yeah.
Which keeps me trying to take care of myself for my family. And if there was one thing I could change, I would love to still have him around. But then when you say that, we wouldn't have Wells Cattle Company beef. We wouldn't have the restaurant because Dad would still be running this ranch the way he always did. And I've always respected that, even though I didn't agree with the way that old timers run their ranches. They're profitless things, and we can't.
Hobby.
It's and he loved it, and I would never have changed that. I would have let him do his thing. So I don't know. I don't know that we can. There's probably a reason why we can't change things.
Yeah.
But that leads me into the question I have for you.
Oh man.
And this is going to tie in really well. If you could time travel one time, which direction would you go, future or past?
Let's see. I think I'd go back.
Okay. To what time?
Man, I would probably go back into the I don't know if I'd go back in all the way to the 70s, but at least to the 80s.
Yeah. I'm thinking 1800s, but go ahead.
Well, I was talking in my timeline, but I wish we could, as Americans, we could get back to, we used to respect each other.
Yeah.
Even I'm 54, or will be in April, but I remember growing up, watching your parents or your aunt and uncles, have disagreements on politics or, just different things, whatever the case was. Mm-hmm. And they would sit and discuss those things. And they were still friends at the end of the day, and we'd go watch a football game together or whatever,
right.
And it seems like today's culture, if we don't think just alike or we don't agree, then we can't be friends, we're mad at each other. And so I wish we could go back into a time where we respected each other,
I just had a podcast at this point, looking back a couple weeks ago with a man that's running for the House of Representatives, Texas House. And I asked him the question. I said, if you were to grab 4 random Republicans, would you think they would agree on maybe 80, 85% of stuff? And he said, yeah, probably. I said, if you go grab 4 Democrats, you think they'd agree on maybe 85% of stuff? He's like, yeah. I said, you put those 4 and those 4 together, it doesn't go down that much, does it?
No.
Not really, because we all want prosperity. We want to be safe. We want to have good jobs. We want to take care of our family. We want to be able to be safe in our state. You know, it really doesn't have these big differences the way that the news brings it out, the social media brings it out.
Yeah.
You know, somebody says on social media, you know, oranges are the very best fruit for your health. And boy, you watch, because somebody's going to say, no, an apple a day keeps the doctor away.
Yeah.
And then someone else is going to say, no, bananas is going to keep you from cramping up, and the potassium. And so, you know, you're going to end up with 14 different opinions about nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing. And yet people will be mad at each other. I mean, you're going to be cussing each other at some point. I mean, I had disagreement one time about, it was during the COVID deal going on, I had a disagreement about it. And it got onto, I said something about it on a group, a Facebook group. I had a whole group of people come give me bad reviews for my restaurant to try to destroy me.
Man.
Physically, physically try to destroy me because they disagreed with something, a principle that I had.
Yeah.
Which ends up I was right, by the way. I was right, by the way. Science has proven me right. But I still have those bad reviews still sitting there because people are idiots when they get like that. And so there's times I do it for fun. You know, if I'm with my buddies, we'll spar. Yeah. But we're still friends.
Yeah.
We still love each other. Yeah. So, yeah. Man, I've really enjoyed our time.
I did too.
Thank you for doing this.
I appreciate you having me on here.
Yeah. Hopefully it helps some folks get a perspective. And you talked about it just a minute ago, sitting down and talking and respecting each other. Somebody that watches or listens to this podcast may think that I'm just everybody's friend and I don't have any disagreements with anybody. But the fact is, when we sit down at this table, that's the goal. Yeah. Is that leaders can sit down, talk to each other, agree on everything we can agree on to move forward. Yeah. And I talked to the same guy just the other day, and I said, if we were to go deep enough and talk long enough, we'd find things we don't agree on. Yeah. That's everybody, no matter who. But there's a whole lot of good that can come from working together, talking together, getting consensus and moving forward. And so I don't know that we would disagree on all that much, but there would be something somewhere, you know, and that's just everybody. But this podcast is about coming together and leaders respecting each other and having good conversation about issues and things that are going on. And so I appreciate you coming on. Yeah. I always appreciate your opinion, for sure.
Well, I'd like to say thank you for the vision you have and just the things that you're doing and accomplishing.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you, and I appreciate your friendship.
I appreciate that. Thank you. That means a lot. I know that the more we do, the more criticisms that fly.
Oh, yeah.
This
goes with territory.
You know it. They say the wind blows harder and colder at the top of the mountain. So, you know what? I'm just going to keep climbing. I'm going to keep doing what I feel called to do. Yep. And if I didn't, and this is true for you, you would have never run for office had you worried about all the negative that could have happened. Yeah. But instead, we focus on all the positive that can come of it. I think that's what we have to do. Yeah. For sure. Well, man, this has been great. If you don't have my book, I'm going to mention it one more time, LeeWellsOfficial.com. Go out, grab a copy. I've got hardback and paperback for you. And if you've not, or you come by the restaurant, downtown Rockwall if you're close, and pick up a copy. I'll sign it for you. If I have to, I will. I don't mind doing it at all. And this podcast has been brought to you by our friends at Sterling Tea. Use Wells 20 at checkout, sterlingtea.com. And our friends at It's Fate Creamery, downtown Fate. And that is ice cream done right. So those are some good folks. And you know my favorite flavor there is cookie butter. If you've never had it, it will change your life. And it'll make life worth living. And I appreciate all the feedback that comes in on the show. And so if you have ideas and thoughts and opinions, send them, and I'd love to read them and get back with you. Thank you for the encouragement that comes along the way. I appreciate that. This is Lee Wells, The Ranch and Table. And until next time, we say adios, farewell, goodbye, good luck, so long.